Does Harden deserve to be first team All-NBA?
Nope.
Oh.
First of all, deserve's got nothing to do with it. Either you are or you aren't, and I'll explain that in a second. But you want to use deserve, fine. The answer is no. There is no such thing as the regular season. I'm done with this. I don't care what the rules are. There's simply a season. The postseason in basketball is up to 2 months long. Those are the most important games by far. It's not that the regular season doesn't count. As I said, it's one big season. The postseason is simply much more important. Almost every MVP caliber player who's ever lived, team has made the playoffs. Not everyone. AD, they didn't make the playoffs this year, but almost everyone. I don't want to hear about the regular season. We're talking about the season as a whole. And I don't want to hear about positions. We're playing positionless basketball. Stop it. As long as you're not taking 5 guys under 6'6", you're fine. And by the way, how tall is Draymond Green? Because you could play him at the 5, right? No. Here's what it is, people. This is really simple. Is LeBron All-NBA, yes or no? KD, Kawhi, the Freak, Steph, that's 5 dudes. And I could fill every position with those 5 dudes. Where's James Harden? Not there. I'm sorry. And here's the real simple way to do it. I talk about this in boxing. You want to know who won a round? Well, it's effective aggression and the defense. No. Who would you rather have been that round? That tells you everything you need to know. So let me ask you this. If these various players are available, tell me when you're taking Harden. You can have him on your team. The Greek Freak's available. You want Harden? KD's available. Do you want Harden? Kawhi, LeBron, Steph. Tell me when you're taking Harden over one of those 5 guys. The answer is you're not, and you know it. It gives me no pleasure to say that about James Harden. I had an inkling, I had a feeling that I was going to be sitting here this time this year saying James Harden did it. He flipped the script. He goes from the poster child for choking, as an MVP caliber player in the regular season and then choking when it mattered most to a guy who's figured it out the way LeBron did. LeBron choked in the finals and then eventually figured it out. I can't sit here and say that, and therefore he is not All-NBA.
He is All-NBA, Max Kellerman. You said it yourself a few months ago, or rather a few weeks ago, when you had him as a top 2 candidate for league MVP honors. We have a difference of opinion in terms of, but it's just philosophical. So I understand where you're coming from, and I get that. This is what the point that I need you to understand. James Harden averaged 36, about 7 50-plus point games, 5 consecutive months with at least one 50-plus game, 50-point-plus game, 32 straight games of scoring over 30. Over 30 points against each of the 29 teams in the NBA. Doing it without Chris Paul for about 24 games, doing it without Clint Capella for anywhere from 10 to 13 games, doing it without Eric Gordon earlier on as well, doing it playing for Mike D'Antoni, when obviously your defense is somewhat compromised and every possession goes through you and everybody knows it but still can't be able to stop you. This is not about what player you'd prefer. This is not about what player is better. This is not about what player is better in the postseason. It's a regular season. And, Max, I think that I'll sway you with this notion. Let me go away from the All-NBA team for 1 second to tell you something, and I need to say this on national television about these folks because I absolutely detest what they've done. On a part of the NBA and a part of the NBA Players Association, I'm calling both of them out. You know that award ceremony that they're going to have, I think it's like June 24th, where everybody receives their honors? I think it is the most reprehensible thing that could exist. Let me explain why. You ask fans to pack the stadiums 41 nights a year. Let me ask you a question, Max. If you get the league MVP award, don't they have the right to see and to cheer their guy on? Don't you think it would be better for a player to hoist that trophy above for everybody to cheer on and to send applause upon that individual for the exceptional season that they've had? When the Commissioner Stern back then, shows up in Chicago to give Derrick Rose that MVP award in front of that Chicago fan at the United Center, that was something that was absolutely positively special. But yet, Now they've got us waiting until the end of the season to find out who's awarded at a banquet amongst their peers, leaving the fans to watch on television and not have those home fans there to cheer you on and thank you for the exceptional season that you've given them. This is what I'm talking about here. Everything ain't about the postseason. The regular season matters for a reason because there's 82 games that people pay to watch, pay to come see. And what you do from the end of October to mid-April matters. It doesn't matter as much as your postseason success for those teams that are in the postseason, but half the league doesn't make the postseason,
Yeah, but half the league,
and most of the league ain't even contenders. So it's got to matter for something.
Half the league doesn't make the postseason because they don't have an All-NBA player. I mean, like, the AD's team didn't make the postseason this year, and in fact, that's why I don't have them in the top 5. I can't see a Steph Curry team missing the postseason, so I can't put AD over Steph, even though my inclination is to do so. I think it's very, very, very rare in the history of the NBA that an MVP caliber player is on a non-playoff team. I understand they don't advance in the playoffs, but a non-playoff team, it's exceptionally rare. And I'll say this about the regular season. I understand what you mean about paying customers. I love the NBA postseason, right? And I love the fact that it's 2 months. As a fan, I've always been a fan of the NBA. You get geeked about the fact that it's a 2-month-long postseason. But in life, there are always trade-offs. Always trade-offs. If this gets better, something else has to give. And when you have such an important postseason where over 50% of the teams make it, 16 out of 30 teams make it into the postseason, you are necessarily devaluing the regular season. You just can't have it both ways. So that's a trade-off the NBA makes, and I'm not mad at them for it. But that's the fact. The regular season is simply less important than in other sports because so many teams make the playoffs. So when you have these awards for regular season All-NBA, I think they should do, real quick, I think they should do 3 things. 1, you can do that award if you want. 2, before you get to the finals award, I think you need playoff, postseason awards. And then 3, I think you need an overall award factoring everything in.
Amen to that.
That's really what we're talking about.